It's not her aesthetics or the fact that she's got a DGI. It's not that she knows the most or is the smartest, funniest, or fittest. It's that she makes you feel like you know her. Can you explain what you mean by this?
Oh, we'll go straight into
Do
it.
you do you remember writing that?
Yes.
Okay,
'Cause
brilliant.
what I wrote, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, wow. Okay, let's get straight into it. So, what I mean by that is that person that they make you feel seen. You feel like you actually know someone. You feel like someone's your friend. You feel like they're actually talking to you. They're not talking for an alternative motive or anything like that. Because when you actually think about content, I know from my point of view, or the people that I love watching, it is never because of their like perfect lighting or yes, that plays a part because I have people that I follow who I love their edits or I love
Mm.
like the pace of the video. I do think that comes into it, which is more like the creative process and like almost like filmmaking or TV, like like the pace of a story that I do like think some people are better at that, but that's also a skill you can learn. But the people that I actually love following and just get and binge watch and like look forward to their stories are the people that I feel like I know, but I might not know them. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. They're like your little show that you watch on your phone.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
'Cause that's all our phones are, aren't they? They're little
Yeah.
like CDs in our pockets.
Yeah. And why do you think that's important?
Because I think if you have, well, I think for two things, to what talk about it as if you're a coach, if you've got a business, like you're selling a service.
Yeah.
I think because people buy from people and they buy from people that they
Yeah.
trust. And I also think you like just put it bluntly, like no one is actually selling anything that original.
Yeah.
And that's not in a what do you call it, like a horrible way
No.
or like put down because the services are great. Like, yes, of course, people need help with their health and fitness, but you're not doing nothing new. Like it's the
Mm.
same. So the only thing that actually sets you apart, which makes you connect to people, is you.
It's all macros, calories, and steps.
Like bore off. Do you know what I mean? I literally went with my coach because I love what she dresses like, her sense of
Yeah.
humor, and I love the memes that she said that she posted. I knew she
Mm.
could get the job done, but like it was her that I was like, I want to be friends with her. Like I want to be a bit more like her.
That makes sense. How do people get to that stage? Do you think people just naturally come across like that when they're on camera? Do you think other people try too hard? Like how can you get to that stage where you're just naturally being yourself and you're naturally being relatable and people just enjoy watching you? Like what if like I'm like, well, nobody enjoys nobody enjoys watching me or watching my life.
I right. I've actually been thinking about this loads, Carl, because I've been trying to think. I actually, it's so weird, but I've been thinking about like why I do what I do and
Mm.
why I actually like it. And I do think it's changed lately, like
Okay.
sort of the reason why behind it. I think everything starts with how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
Not to deepen it, but you and me never do shallow chats anyway. So that's how it sounds. But how you feel about yourself. So it's not an easy thing. Like it's not a script or it's not, yes, it is practice on camera, but you can practice on camera. But if you're constantly practicing with bad scripts that aren't you and you're practicing acting being something else because you feel so uncomfortable in yourself or like you need to be something else, the practicing doesn't fucking matter. Does that mean it's the same
Mm.
stuff with like I cover this with I cover like ideal clients. It is of course important, but even if you do all the ideal client work like work in the world and you know your client inside out, if you're uncomfortable in something in yourself and you don't there's a part of you that always feels like you need to be polished or you're not fully just you don't have to love yourself, but just acceptance of who you are, you're not going to show up in a way that really connects us because I feel like people can see that. So it's actually like, yes, it is practicing getting on camera. Yes, it's practicing um, speaking to people, but it's not even thinking about are people going to think if my life's interesting. That's not
Mm.
even a thought that should be there. It's just you focusing on at first who you can help and you just getting more comfortable with being you
Yeah.
around other people.
Yeah, because even if you are really good at faking it being someone else or playing a character, um, well, firstly, it's gonna feel like it's gonna be much harder work than just being yourself because it doesn't take any effort to just be yourself anyway, or to just naturally come across as yourself. But even if you're playing a character to sound interesting, to sell a service or a product, and you talking about it like you're really passionate about it, even if you're not. Like, it's never even going to probably feel fulfilling, even if you get the followers or sell the service or anything like that, because they're not even buying into you. They're buying into this version of yourself that you're pretending to be.
Yeah. And I think it will just always feel like a box you've got to tick.
Yeah,
Like I've got to do a post.
yeah,
Make sense? That kind
yeah,
of thing. And I'm not saying that everyone is gonna love content.
yeah,
However, I do think a lot more people would love it if they let themselves relax because all it is playing.
yeah,
It is playing. It's like when you're a kid and you act out a show. But I used to do that all the time, or like make my own films or do fun stuff. And I feel like as you get older, you forget what it's like to play.
yeah.
So, and it's almost like got a weird like I don't know if you've come up against this because I know obviously you are a coach and you meet a lot of coaches and I'm sure I know you speak a lot of people in the podcast, but like this almost like I don't do content or like I just hate it.
Yeah.
And like if you actually break it down, it's just play like you don't hate it. To me, that tells me you're not comfortable in yourself in some way or you're not whatever because you're just playing. You're just putting your so it's like this idea that content has to be this certain thing and I really don't think it does. I don't think you need to have a certain amount of followers or anything like that to literally be creative. I think most kids when they're young are creative. Like we are all creative in some way. And I think social media and stuff has got such a bad rep of like, yes, of course there are downsides to it, but we've now got this thing where we get to make our own videos. We get to be creative. Like when did we ever get to do that as an adult? I find it like being like a kid again.
Yeah, it's insane. The opportunities are insane, and also it's quite it's quite insane for people to be like, "Oh, I'm an online coach, but I hate making content online." Well, it's kind of part of the. It's kind of sold in your title as well. But I completely get your point because I think it's like people say I hate making content because for whatever reason they have these huge insecurities around that. So it's not that you hate the content, it's that you have these insecurities that you need to probably deal with or whatever it is. But
I
do you,
also
yeah, sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, and I also think because it's like one of those things that is that, but also not taken away from. I do think there's so much information now about what content should or shouldn't be, and
Mm,
so like business people saying that your content should be this or this. That like I feel like they hate. That's what I'm saying. They hate what they think it should be.
yes,
So if you
because they're
sit
trying to
back,
they're trying to play this persona of what they're supposed to look like online.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I forgot my last point was going to be on that, but it was going to be a good one. Okay. Quote number 2 then. Stop looking online for ideas. Instead, get outside, walk, and give yourself creative space to let your mind wander and see what comes up. Explain this one for me.
Because I think I love how you're doing this. I didn't know this is how we were going to do things. This is so much fun. So I think that people that they just have looking for inspiration ideas all wrong. So many people will look online at other people for their ideas. And yes, none of us have an original idea. I get that. It comes from somewhere, but you are so much more likely to get out. I think, as an example, say if you love painting, really random, but say if you love painting and you're an online coach, painting, online coach, nothing to do with each other. Okay. But if you took half hour for yourself to do something that you loved and just let yourself flow and paint, you would probably have so many more ideas. Not probably, I'm going to put it out there. I think you would have so many more ideas about how you could connect to people, things that you're passionate about, rather than just sitting and scrolling and watching other people sitting on a bench in a gym talking about the same fucking shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, so when I say that, I feel like we're looking for inspiration in the wrong things. Like you need to
Mm,
find your own way to do things. And I also think it's like such a good way then to make sure you're always going to have you're always going to have similar ideas to other people in your industry because only so many things you can talk about, yeah.
yeah.
But I do think if you make a conscious effort to try and find your ideas outside, like just without music or walking around or doing things that you like rather than online, you're less likely to be creating content like other people. And even if something is similar to someone else's, you know in yourself, or that's just because it's a similar topic. I came up with that idea when I was out on my own. Do you know what I mean?
That makes perfect sense. I have a great quote for you. So, Ernest Hemingway said, "In order to write about life, first you must live it." And I think about this when I watch some people's content online, and they're really good at storytelling, and it's like. Because you're right, we might all be talking about like in the context of a online coach, it might be like macros and calories and steps and resistance training. But the ones that really stand out for me are the ones that have, you know, personal stories about their life. Like, I'll give you an example. I follow a relationship coach, and she was talking about the other day how she was on the tube, and there was these two young, good looking people standing on the tube, and she just glanced over and looked at them. They were both on their phone. They were both like probably young, single, like looked like they'd be a great match for each other. And she glanced at the phone, and the both of them were scrolling on Hinge and Tinder while they were outdoors. And then she spoke about then basically through that experience of her watching that, how kind of you know, people are going for kind of online dating, and realizing that there's probably people straight in front of their face if they kind of open their eyes. Yeah, so I was thinking like, oh, that's a really good story, or a really good content, a really good piece of content that she created from being outside and going on the tube, and then she took that idea and she brought it home and she created something really, really good with that. And I was like, yeah, like if you go out and experience things, you'll probably have a lot to say in your content. But if you're just at home on your phone looking at other people's content and then trying to replicate something similar, you probably could quickly run out of ideas, or it wouldn't be original to your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Next one. What would you post if all of your followers were in a group chat?
Yeah.
Explain that. What do you mean by that?
Because, mate, if you go back to some of my early content, it's wild. So I was nothing like me. Does that make sense? It was like,
Explain that to the listeners.
so there was like two versions, and I think I would say a lot of people are either experiencing this now or have experienced it. Yeah, like especially as online coaches or people that work online, where I had who I was as Maria in real life in the group chat saying the unhinged things, the inside voices, like whatever, and then I had like Maria that was work mode, but it wasn't that I'm not saying, of course there are some things you might not say to a client or at work, but it was like the whole thing switched. Even things like what I thought, that interests that I liked, that I thought might be a bit too geek. I'm a Buffy nerd, mate. Like I'm obsessed. Like this is literally, I've got all this kind of stuff like around my office, like everything is. But I went for a phase of thinking like that's like childish, or like people won't take me seriously if like I need to be this set thing. And I feel like a lot of people put their scripts together or show up online like almost like they're putting a seat, like how you would on a, you know, like, oh my God, you know, when you're younger and they go write a covering letter for a fucking job.
Yeah.
And you're literally like, what are your weaknesses? Do you know what? I'm just such a perfectionist. Like, I just want everything to be the best. Like, you know, the bullshit you come out of when you're trying to get the job, but it's not. I feel like people talk like that in their content, whereas, and then they'd go home in the group chat, be like, oh my God, that was fucking like, I can't believe. And I feel like you need to speak to the people, your audience, how you would in a group chat. Because something else that I found when I was coaching, because I did used to coach in the beginning, before I started to the last year that I was coaching, I found my voice more. And I noticed when I found my voice more, I've had clients that were more like me, because I was getting people coming in that I was coaching that had been attracted to this polished Maria who didn't swear. I swear every other word. Do you know what I mean? But I never used to swear. And then when they were then coming in and I was then on calls with them or whatever, I was never like fully myself around them. And I felt like I had to have this front when I was even coaching them. And it was hard. Whereas if you're yourself off the back talking like in a group chat, when you get someone on a call, they know what to expect. You're not like hiding away like
Yeah,
parts of
I had this conversation with Rachel Henley, and we were talking about how like, okay, your content is almost like the start of your coaching process, because like the people who are coming into you will know exactly what they're coming into because they've already kind of bought into you, and the message you say and how you say it as well. So basically what you're saying is say the unhinged thing.
Yeah. And I think that's true though, because I don't think anyone should become right. You know, this whole like sell them what they want, give them what they need. I think like we are within reason, but no one should be actually coming into your coaching service and getting surprised.
Yeah.
They should know. So something I've come up with people, I've worked with clients and we're working on obviously improving their content, helping them talk to ideal client, is people are leaving sort of like after say 8 weeks. But they're leaving and they don't, but they're leaving after 8 weeks because on the front end, they're talking about an 8-week challenge or get shredded or whatever. And then when they're in the business, the coach is like, but I want this to be like sustainable. And I'm like, but your messaging is all wrong. Does that make sense? Like you can't expect they're coming in for one thing. It has to align. So that's another thing. I think your content, yes, of course, when you get into the business and you're coaching, you go much deeper and there's a lot, we know that it's more than food and training, of course. But at the front end, you might not talk about all the more in-depth stuff because the people at the beginning of the journey don't really realize that. And once they're in and you're coaching them, it's your job to take them through that journey, and depending on what stage they're at, open them up to new things to help them on their way. So yes, the front end, your content won't be all about that, but it should be the starting point so that when they're working through it, it's not like you just dropped a bombshell on them. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And all of
Yeah,
a sudden,
that makes perfect sense. I could say, if I was thinking about my own business, or obviously a lot of my content now is around community and connection. Like when the people come in to work on the School of Fitness program, now they know that all right, we're going all drinking together once a month, or we're going for a hike like every quarter or whatever it is, or we're going to run an event. Like they know that they're coming in, and then part of this is you have to kind of get involved in the community.
yes.
Because that's it. It's in the messaging, and then it follows up into the actual coaching.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
can't imagine anyone comes into your world, Carl, and is like, I'm not really like, I'm not social.
yeah.
It's
Or
all,
they don't want, or that they don't want to be social, or they don't want to meet people. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's another thing I think people find. So you speak about community and you show your community. Another thing, just for like any coaches that are listening, some of them have like one-to-one and they want to build this community, but they've never spoke about it on the front end. And then they're getting
Mm,
frustrated that inside the business, they haven't got this thriving WhatsApp community, or people aren't wanting to do meetups and stuff. Well, I mean, firstly, that takes a lot of work and effort. I feel like as a business, like, so something I respect massively about you is that you've built this huge community, because also it is very hard to do. I think people just think, I'm going to start a group chat and everyone's going to be, no, you have like, it takes effort to build that community, but you at least need to be feeding it in the beginning
100%.
to sort of get people in. Does that make
Yeah, it
sense?
makes perfect sense. And that kind of follows on from your next quote, which I really loved, which was followers don't build businesses, communities do. Is this a common mistake you see with creators, that they're kind of too fixated on the numbers and not really on the service of their community, if that's what they are selling and want to sell?
Yes.
Yeah,
If we're speaking just about coaches, like,
yeah,
because of who I predominantly work with, but yeah, massively. I think we're tracking the wrong metrics and like the numbers. And also we know that like say an engagement piece of content is gonna, or like a certain type of content is gonna perform more engagement wise than maybe like a selling, or not even a strong sell, but like a connection piece of content. But so a prime example, sorry, can I just give an example of this?
yeah,
Of
yeah. Please.
all the time, because I feel like people do this. Right. I have people that don't want to post their client wins or testimonials or whatever on their stories because their story views drop. And I'm like, okay,
That's
right,
interesting.
okay. But you're not just using your stories for like loads of views. What's the point in having 500 views on your stories if no one's buying? Because prime example, I do this. So I have a course, and once a week I will do something on my story pushing people to the course. I know engagement's going to drop on that, but that sounds, because the people that drop off aren't going to, but they're not actually the people I can really help once they're in anyway. So my story views dropped, right? And again, I jammed like I had 53, sorry, views on a story post, which was like purposely after a few posts about my course. Yeah. Some people would be like, oh my God, 53. Why can't I speak?
53. You're gonna make the Irishman say tree all the time, Maria.
3 views. But I made a sale on my course off the back of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's sound. And then I'll have a break and I'll do some more fun engagement stories just where I'm just chatting just because I want to chat shit. And that's sound. But people will be like, that real fucking bombed. And I'm like,
Mm.
but did you get like a one good conversation off it, that that person's actually now, you actually could help that person with your coaching? So it's having like, I think it's knowing that different pieces of content serve a different purpose. And yes, you can absolutely have growth pieces of content in there if you want to push out 100%. But then you cannot judge all pieces of content on that same metric, because you also should have social proof. You also should have like posts specifically for starting conversations and building connection with the people that eventually you can properly help one to one. So you need to know what each post is for and not get caught up in just like this followers number. And something that the reason that stuck in me, whoa, but stuck to me like so much is because when I started
I'm gonna
doing
clip
it,
that and put that as the as the starting point of the podcast. Go on, sorry.
I I came from this old belief, which I think loads of people do. And I'm just going back to like probably when I met you, actually, like 2020 or 2021 or whatever, of
Mm,
like, okay, big following equals big successful online coaching business. And to have that, I need to do X, Y, and Z in my content and be like X, Y, and Z who are doing this. And then just how life went and my journey. I was coaching and I worked as a setter for a while inside of business mentorship. Obviously, my husband now works with coaches. I know a lot of other coaches. I started to see sort of the behind the scenes of this like glittery, shiny social media front of someone's business. And I suddenly found like was meeting people that had what people would deem successful on Instagram with these huge followings that had not a lot of clients, were really struggling financially, and above all, weren't fucking happy. Do you know what I mean? And then I was meeting people that I may have potentially, hand on heart, probably dismissed because I bought into this lie. So I was meeting people with maybe 3 or 4 thousand followers that are an online coach. And that voice, I'm going to be honest, because I feel like a lot of people do think it still was like, oh, I've just got 3, 4 thousand followers. Like then got with, I'm not kidding you, 60, 70 clients earning so much. And I know it's not all about money, but money gives you freedom. And if you're doing something that you love, they're having an impact on 60, 70 people, their attention's great. They're loving their life. They're loving their business. They're going on these holidays. And I was like, what the fuck? Because it just went against everything we'd been told on social media. Do you know what I mean? So
It's
I
it's
think,
so hard. It's so hard to not fall into that trap though, because we're so obsessed with numbers, aren't we? And like it's such a visible, tangible thing to see is
yeah,
that video did better than that video, so therefore that video is better than that video, even if like the other one can it might be more meaningful to someone, it might help someone, it might help your business, it might get you a client, whatever it is.
yeah. And also, I really have like, I do keep coming back to this thing lately of like, even if some people might not think it, I truly believe content creation is an art. It's like it's a form of like it's becoming like the new kind of filmmaking. Like
Hmm.
there are extremely talented editors and storytellers that are now becoming content creators because they don't have to follow a script or get to know a producer or do whatever. They can put their own work and their own message out there, which is so amazing. And they're doing it. And like any form of art, it's like it's subjective. Like no one, you can't say this is good and this is bad. It's all personal opinion. So it does not matter. Like you have to, this is when it then comes back to, like I said, everything comes back to, are you being true to who you are? Because I honestly believe, yes, of course, the numbers can get in you. So I'm not saying that it won't be like, if something didn't, you might be like, oh, I thought that was going to do better. But if you know that that was something you were passionate about and you were yourself in that and you put that out, even if it quote unquote flops, it never hurts as much. Like my account is very small. I haven't even got 4,000 followers. Also, I think because of the switch, I went from coaching to then doing what I do now, my audience isn't all coaches. So I've got like a lot of mixed people in there. My reels, I can do reels that literally get 500 views. I can hand on heart say I'm never sad about that because I know in every piece of content I'm myself. Yes, sometimes I'm like, oh, I thought that would have slapped a bit more.
Mm.
But it doesn't. Whereas before, when I potentially was getting more views, being like a different kind of version of myself, I would really take that to heart. But I think when you're comfortable in your messaging and you know your mission and you're putting yourself out there like that, it's like it's who I
Mm.
am. It's the sound. You can let it go more. Like,
And I like that. I like that reframe that you see online all the time, where it's like a video and it's like, "Oh, your video only got 100 views," and then it goes to like 100 people in a room, and it's like, "Oh, that's packed." Like, but what I wanted to ask is if someone would probably come onto your page now, let's say a content creator, someone who's aspiring to be a content creator and trying to build their page, and they'd be like, "Oh, Maria looks really confident on camera. Oh, she's just really natural at doing this." So my question probably is, how do people get to that stage of like really stiff and trying to be really polished to like for it will come across as you're just yourself naturally. How did you get to that stage?
I think conscious effort.
Hmm.
So I would record myself, and I still do it now. I'll still have like a rough outline of what I want to say,
Yeah.
and I'll say it, and then afterwards I'll be like, oh, shake it off. That was fucking weird. Like that isn't how I'd actually say. Like, and I'd say it again. So I'm not afraid to redo stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I have been doing it for a long time now.
Yeah.
So although I said practice isn't everything, but practice when you're practicing actually
Yeah.
being yourself does help. So like if someone's listening to this and they actually want, I do think it's good to have like practical steps. My first thing, and I do this with clients, is if you need to get on stories, start talking on your stories. Yeah, like practically speaking, like actually film yourself in stories. It's gone in 24 hours. If you fuck up, you fuck up. You just get used to seeing your face, you get used to speaking your opinions out there. And
Mm.
just like almost like if you almost want to have that feeling in your stomach that you're like, oh, someone might not like this. And if
Yeah.
you have that feeling, that's actually a good feeling because it means you're probably being honest about what you think. So practice putting it out on your stories.
That's
Uh,
so true, because when I say my most controversial opinions, I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna offend people that I actually really like. I'm like, oh, but I really believe what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. So I
That's so
think like
true.
practicing that. Also, another thing is you really have to put the focus not on you, on the but on the other person.
Mm,
So I do think for coaches, again, there's 100 ways to do content. I honestly think it all works. What you need to do is find the way that works for you. So if the way I do things helps a coach and that clicks with them, that's fucking sound.
yeah,
If what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, that's also sound. Find someone else. But what I think it is you need to find one way and sort of give it a go.
yeah.
At the minute, there's so much information. People are trying stuff from everywhere. But I do personally, and I have clients do it, I think it's you need to know who you help. So I do think it is useful, very useful to have a real clear idea of your ideal client
Mm,
and 2 to 3 almost like content themes, which are the main things that they struggle with. So take the basics, which are training and nutrition, yeah. So when you are stuck, rather than thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Put it on them. Like, what are they struggling with? What are they finding hard about training right now?
you're ruining my next quote of yours, because you're gonna say, I was gonna say, shifting from I-centric content to we-centric content. That's
Yeah.
something that you said that I thought was really, really good.
Yeah, which is massive. And I actually, and this is someone that everyone I think should follow because I think she's amazing. There's a girl called Julia Broom. Her name is Julia Broom, and she's a content creator, but very educational. So she works for like 7 years behind the scenes for people like huge influencers and celebrities running their accounts, yeah. And then literally, I think it was like last year, she started to put herself on like TikTok and stuff and
Hmm.
like share. So all of her stuff is just like tips but actual advice, tangible stuff. And everything she speaks about, I've learned quite a lot from her, is around the community and making it more about people. And it's one of the things that I kind of knew. And then when she was talking about stuff, I was like, ah, that's when when you're doing something and it's working, and then you figure out someone tells you why it's actually working. You're like, oh, I get that now. But that's what I was doing. I just didn't realize that that was
Yeah.
what it was about, kind of thing. So she's the first one that a person I learned from that I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. I-centric, we-centric. So basically it's making it not about you and then making it about the people you're helping, but like your community. So like a really good example of this, I actually literally had this conversation with a client this morning that wanted to do like she was talking about a carousel idea she had. She wanted to do like a week in the life.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, I love that concept. Don't do a week in the life, like, because you're making it about you. My week in my life. Like, change it. Just literally changing the front cover of that and it being like, let's get through a week together with one less many bee. Like, literally that one change, making it about us. Like, you're bringing them along with you. Like, instead of like, get ready with me for the gym. Like, no, let's change. It's not get ready with you. It's like, let's pick an outfit together.
Hmm.
Literally that one change makes people feel like they're involved. It's like that FaceTime friends kind of.
Yeah, well, it's like we just spoke about. It's like you're watching your own show of the person that you know.
Yes.
Mm.
And someone that who does this so well, again, I didn't know that she did this, but I am a bit of a fan, not a bit, huge fan of Chrissy Chella. Have you heard?
Mm.
Do
I
you know who
don't
she
know.
So she was like a fitness influencer,
Yeah,
PT or whatever. She now has like Honor Active, which is a clothing brand, which is massive. And
yeah.
she does this app as well, which is huge. But watching her and now learning about community and how people want to feel part of the journey. So they don't want to see the finished product. They want for the people to connect. They want to feel on the journey with you and stuff like when she was building her. I don't know if she did this subconsciously or if she did this intentionally, but it followed the exact blueprint of basically building a perfect community and a great brand, whether she knew it or not. Rather than just dropping a clothing line, she spoke about it with her community from the beginning and she asked questions like, what length leggings do you want? Like, I found you, what do you like, this top or this top? I've got two colors. What color would you prefer? I like this. And like the audience, as like a viewer, like I'm saying, I'm like,
Mm.
I bought Honor Active as soon as it fucking dropped. Do you know what I mean? And like, just because you felt so involved in
Yeah.
the process of like, and that's what the best when you then think about that, when you then think about you'll probably watch other content creators now or like brands and stuff, and you'll be like, oh my God, that brand does that. And I love that brand.
I
Like they'll,
literally just thinking of examples as you were talking about that. I was thinking about the lad who ran from like the bottom of Africa to the top of Africa, and he used to check in every single day running, and I felt like I was along on the journey with him because he
yes,
did it daily.
Yes.
And then when he finished, I was like, yeah, go on, Russ, or whatever his name was.
Exactly. And that can, you can do that with anything. Does that make sense? Whether it's, and even like to put it back to coaching, just because I don't know if you do have, I'm guessing, I would imagine you have a lot of coaches listening, but like say if something I see people make a mistake doing is they'll like say launch a new program, but it comes out the fucking blue with some random like launch now like thing, and it's like, no, even you could even take, and this must be like a business, it's obviously a business concept, like there's got to be stuff to, but you could take it to it, like ask your audience, like I'm trying to, I'm making some tweaks to my program, be open to it, like what kind of stuff do you struggle with, like do you think you'd prefer check-ins once a week, or like, I don't know, you play around with it, do whatever you think, but just showing people inside what you're doing, or like inside your process of what you're doing, it just makes people buy into you. And once they're bought into you, like they'll keep buying. So like that Chrissy Chell obviously then dropped this, mate, she's fucking everything she touches seems to turn to gold. But she's not lucky. If you look back, it's like she's really kept her
Yeah.
community involved from the beginning, and she gives back. And yeah, I
I
don't
think
know how.
that also shows the importance of like consistently showing up, because you're not gonna feel like you know someone, and you're not gonna trust someone, and then you're not gonna buy someone if you're not consistently then showing up. I think that's the important thing as well. I think another good thing that you even said, like not making it all about you as well, because if you're also not comfortable talking on camera yet, like being like, well, if you're taking the onus away from you, it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to talk about myself, then I'm going to talk about this idea. And if this idea helps someone else, then it's like you're not in your head about you anymore. It's more about the idea, which probably makes it a little bit more easier to talk about. Like I definitely noticed when I first started showing up on camera that, it was easier for me to just talk about training and nutrition rather than just, show up as myself and just like say any shit, because, and even if it was maybe a little bit robotic or a little bit polished or a little bit kind of like overly scripted, like it was, it got me through that phase of being on camera to then to be
Mm.
comfortable on camera.
But also, do you not think you doing that though, Carl, was
Mm.
also, you weren't talking about nutrition for you.
Mm.
You were talking about it because you were so passionate. It
Yeah.
comes through in everything. You were so passionate about the misinformation that
Yeah.
you didn't want anyone else to suffer because of this. So even if you were scripted, or even if you like the videos flow better now, and this was
Yeah.
when you were starting out, you still weren't thinking, well, it doesn't come across like you were thinking, what am I, this video is for me. It was like you were
Mm.
passionate about, we're talking about calories because I don't want you to feel like you're a useless human being because you can't stick to these calories. They're too low. So again, still your focus was on,
Yeah, I found out an idea and I was like, oh my god, I need to share this with everyone because this is really interesting, even if no
yeah.
one else found it interesting, which I'm still doing. Um, Helpful tips for creators. So this one is an interesting one. So, and I know you've talked about this anyway in terms of like building authority versus like being yourself. Like, even if yourself is like, just whatever, silly goose, whatever it is, it's like, how can people find that balance between, all right, I want to be known as an authority. I want to like show up and like be respected, but I also like I'm not that. I'm not that serious. Do you know what I mean? Because I think I definitely find that I definitely find I still struggle to find the balance between like, all right, I'm a business owner, I have employees, like I need to present myself in a certain way, and I'm definitely not them things. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not responsible. Like I'm not a boss. I don't like telling people what to do. Like like I am quite reckless. Like so, it's kind of like finding that balance between my personality and the characteristics of someone who wants to build something of significance, I think.
Yeah.
Does that make
I love,
sense?
yes, it does. And I love this question because I've been like, so this is my take on this. I think authority, people are thinking about it wrong. I
Mm,
think authority is earned and
mm,
it comes from your actions. Yeah.
mm,
So to me, you are an authority, Carl, because what you preach is community, caring for others, moving your body because you can move your body, like looking after each other. If I, even if none of the world saw you, none of the Instagram world saw you,
mhm.
I can trust you would move through your day-to-day life with those being your core values, and you would act in accordance to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
You don't need to, that is the authority because you are. this is how I see it. That's what it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
need to tell anyone that. And I think the same with coaches. If you, the only time this comes conflicted, and I'm going to use me as an example because it's just easier to use myself with this, is if you are not practicing what you preach. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be an online coach, yeah, and every other area of your life is fucking perfect. No, but you need to be practicing what you are telling your clients. Yeah. So if you are a relationship with food coach, yeah, of course you don't need to be fucking shredded, but you should naturally be waking up and moving your body for enjoyment and because you love it, because that is who you are. You should be naturally having a donut and then stopping and you then maybe having a salad because it's more nutrient dense. Like you should be living that life.
Mm.
Yeah. So you acting that way and just being that is the authority. The issue comes when you're not in alignment with that. So like when I met you, actually, when we met for the first in Bali, like 2021, I was coaching more. Well, I started off as fat loss and then I really fell into like relationship with food stuff and because of my own history with food. And I was really passionate about that.
Mm.
Now, in that time in my life in Bali and before going for a breakup, life went crazy. I'd suffered with bulimia for a lot of years. Now that came back with a vengeance when I was in Bali.
Mm.
Yeah. So I was then preaching self-care, self-love, nourishing yourself, and then behind closed doors binging and purging.
Mm.
There was such a disconnect there that I couldn't show up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that is when there is an issue. So if you are a coach, bulimic coach, I don't mean that, but like if you're not practicing what you preach and you're not in it and you've got your own issues, that doesn't mean that you're a finished product
Mm.
because you could still be a relationship with food coach, just going with that example, and being mindful that certain situations trigger you. But you're leading by example in the way that you know what those situations are and you take the steps you need because you're human, but you know how to navigate that.
Mm.
But if you're like not actually doing the things that you say you are, that needs to be addressed. And I personally don't think you should be helping people if you haven't got that stuff sorted.
Mm.
And
It
it's
kind
a
of
bit,
goes. It goes back to what you even said at the very, very start. Was like that. You know, most of this comes down to if you want to be a good content creator, or you want to be good in business, or whatever it is. It's like most of it comes down to knowing yourself, or healing yourself, or to feel comfortable in yourself.
yeah. And then when you're comfortable with yourself and you're sharing more of your stuff, and people can see the actions that you're taking help build the authority. And then stuff like the evidence you've got from helping people, naturally, how you'll talk about a topic will be authoritative without you even trying to be authoritative. I remember I watched this, I love a vlog, yeah. And but I've got a bit like a bit into it in a weird way, whereas now I'm like a bit analyzing stuff. As in, like when I like something, I'm like, wait, pause. Like, I'll literally pause YouTube and be like, why do I like her? Like,
Mm.
what is it about her? Because you can learn a lot from stuff like this. And there was this one girl who I can't remember her name, but basically she's in New York. She's doing different bits. She went and played tennis. She was just showing her day-to-day life. Well, within her day-to-day life, she was just so active and like taking care of herself and so kind to herself, but without at any point saying, come with me to be an active girl in the weekend. She was just doing the things.
Yeah.
I found myself just watching her play tennis, thinking, "Oh my God, I think I want to play tennis." But it was just because I was watching her actually do the stuff. But then
Yeah.
also then get some vloggers, and to me, this is the stuff that I don't like, come with me for a healthy thing. So I'm gonna make my green juice and and when you're telling me, I'm like, no, I want to watch visually this, like
Mm.
had more respect or connected more with the woman that was just doing it than
Yeah,
just
because it's
telling.
almost like you're even though they are recording themselves or they're being recorded, if it feels like they're not even trying, and you're just watching them rather than them trying really hard to get you to watch them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes
Gar
sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Who was it? I think it was Gary V who had a really good quote, and he was like, "Don't create, document." And I thought that was really good as well. But obviously, you do have to create, but as well. But like, I, I think it can be if you're just documenting your life and you're not trying, and people are invested in that, like that's nearly a win-win, isn't it? Because it's like you're not even trying, you're just living your life, and people are just engaged in that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting one. Another one I wanted to ask you about. Well, actually, I want to go into loads of different things. So, loads of different, like just even the small tips that kind of will be helpful for people. So, first one I was going to ask about is thumbnails. Are they important? especially for those just starting out. What exactly is a thumbnail for those listening who might be just starting out?
Yeah, of course. So your thumbnail is basically like the front cover that you use for like your reels or your videos on your Instagram. So when someone comes to your page, they are what they see. So I think I do think they are important, but for a different reason, maybe to how we've been told, so to speak. So I the actual video itself and the context of the video and like what you're putting out is the most important. Yeah. So I would always focus on that first. Yeah. I just think thumbnails are great because when someone does come onto your page, say if you've got a bunch of reels out and you've just posted them with no thumbnail and it's just paused at a random time,
Hmm.
I always come back to this. We're not that special. Yeah. People don't know us. They ain't just going to scroll and just randomly hope that they land on something. Yeah. You literally need to spoon feed people. Whereas if they land on your page and there's just a sentence or just basically just summarize the video in a sentence or a few words on the front, and it's about an issue that they're having, if you're a fitness coach and it is about like late night eating or something like that, they're more like they can then go on that and find the video that's for them. So that reason I think is important. Also, and this is just me because I love just everything fun and colorful. I think fonts, thumbnails, colors, they're all ways that you can express yourself and get more of your personality out there. So I'm not saying get into a fucking hole and spend hours creating all these detailed thumbnails. However, like I do think having like I do put a bit of thought into mine because there's like I like more cartoony fonts. I love pink. I love sort of noughties, 90s. Like so all of that is that kind of vibe. So straight away when you come to my page, you can tell I'm not like clean girl, active, health. Like, do you know what I mean? You get that straight away. And I just love the opportunities to show little bits of yourself because I love that creative process. And I do encourage people to do that. So I feel like if you can have a play around, but if you are not that sort of creative inclined, like you're not as fussed about that, that's fine. But I would always make sure that there is like a clear description of what that video or something is about. So just to make it easier for the viewer to, if they come, they find a couple of reels of yours, they watch them, sick, their sound, oh, go to their page. Oh, what else is it about? Because I know personally, if I can't see, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to
Yeah,
scroll
it makes
through.
sense. It's almost like the analogy of like chapters in a book. If you want to go to a certain chapter, you need to know how to find it, and there it is.
Yeah.
Another one I wanted to ask you was, if an account seems dead, is it the content, or should they just delete the account and start again? Because I know I was talking to a few people who deleted their accounts recently to start again because they were like their account's dead. Is that like is that a legit tactic, or is it just that people need better content?
I think, well, I know it is a legit tactic only because I'm very friendly and I worked with how I started getting into content was through Simon at Strong Media. And I know that he's had some clients where they have actually had like dead accounts and he's had them close them down. And when they've restarted, it's still making the same type of content, but on a fresh account, it has got pushed, like it's got
Yeah.
pushed out and they've got more traction. I don't know the ins and outs of that.
Hmm.
And I can only think of one person that comes to mind that has happened to. That doesn't mean there's not more. That's just
Mm.
all I know of. I the amount of people that say to me, I just think my account's dead. And I look at it and I'm like, oh, I don't actually think it is. I think it's like you're not like they might say their
Your
account's dead,
content's dead.
yeah, or they haven't posted a lot, or
Yeah.
again, because I get to see sort of inside some accounts, people running again, it goes back to community that we spoke about before. People run in a lot of ads. There's nothing wrong with ads. Of course, they're a part, there can be a strategy that we use, but they run a lot of ads and they get a lot of eyes on their stuff, but there's no community on the page. There's no
Mm.
interactions in the page. Naturally, people aren't commenting unless it's like comment for a resource. And maybe even then they're not really commenting because they're not used to like there's no like actual feeling of like community on the page. So that is when I would look at the content. And
Mm.
also it depends on what you're doing because so when I started doing this, I thought I started a separate account because I was like, oh, should I start a separate account? Because people had said again, like Simon said I could or I couldn't, it didn't matter, but he just told me each way.
Yeah.
One, because I could start again and basically with the idea being I'd build the audience of like coaches and creators rather than quote unquote regular people that are already in my audience.
Yeah.
But it depends how you measure it because I kept my current account and yeah, probably 70% of them are non who I'd work with, but I'm helping people. I have one-to-one clients off the back of that. I'm doing everything I want still with that account
Yeah.
that I'm happy with that because I'm not chasing hundreds of thousands of followers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Also, you could think about it in a way of like, all right, maybe the 70% who aren't following you, maybe they followed you from like a past life and stuff like that. But you never know. Some of them might decide, oh, I'm opening a coffee shop business or a bakery business. Oh, who do I know who can help me with advertising and marketing? Oh, yeah, Maria works with loads of people in terms of that. Like, so
Yeah,
yeah, I think myself. Obviously, there's probably no right or wrong answer, and like like things with social media change all the time. That
yeah.
you never really know for certain. But if I was to guess, I would say that more people who say that their account is dead than not, it's probably an issue that their content's dead.
Yeah. Or like an
But
example, someone I spoke to the other day was like, I think there's something wrong with my account. Like I'm posting on stories and I'm getting like barely any views. It's like I know what you post because I follow you. You only come up at post on your stories when you want to sell something. That's the issue. What no one gets. So it's not that it's dead. Like, but try this. Try getting on there just about normal life and speaking because people switch off. If you're only showing up on your stories twice a week to just go, I'm looking for five. One, stop doing that. I absolutely fucking hate it. But two, no wonder people are like, oh,
can
why?
I ask you a question off the back of that? Because it was one of my questions. So, is there a
Yeah.
good ratio between like sharing your personal life and selling a service or a product? And I suppose there's also in between that is just giving value, isn't there?
Yeah. So I have like a I don't want to say system, that sounds so wanky, but like how I do it with clients is I like the rule of sort of like 70% for them, 30% for you.
That's
So
good.
I like to have 3 posts a week that are specifically for the ideal client to help them in some way. And within those 3 posts, your call to action. So private, say if you, so we'll use the standard. Say if it is like training, nutrition, mindset. So one post for training, one nutrition, one mindset every single week. Maybe you also have a lead magnet that is around relationship with food, and you could link that into the call to action of your food post. So you've got that going out. So I like to do those 3 of them. I then also like to have what I call like personal brand storytelling posts, which is something for you, which is sharing your life, your experience. It doesn't need to be anything about fitness. I say to people all the time, like if you fucking love reading, start sharing it. Maybe have a post a week when you do what you're reading, share your book club. Lewis has a client, Bex. She's an amazing coach. She's brilliant. And she was just saying about how in her group chat she was talking about something, and then they've now started a book club just because, which is nothing to do. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, so if you like that, or if you love going to gigs and you love a certain type of music, do that for yourself. And then I always have like social proof on there. So they're kind of like the 5 posts that I would say are like non-negotiable. Your 3 for that, your own story, something for you, and then your social proof. But then also I think there's then also no harm with showing more as long as you're showing enough to help the clients, so you're doing what you can to tick the boxes, so to speak, to move your business forward, to have a bigger impact. If you want to share more stuff, and I think some coaches should try doing that a bit more. Like, have I did a post actually the other day, and in it I said about, how everyone has like filming days, which is sound, like add in like experience days. So if you're someone that's like, oh, I just don't know what part of my life to share, or I don't know, and you are just doing health fitness, and you
Yeah.
don't know where to start with like personal brand or whatever, just literally plan a fun day that's fun to you, not for Instagram. Maybe it is like going for a walk, going to your favorite coffee shop, and then whatever. And just take your phone and just practice documenting it. Like how you said that quote from Gary, just practice doing that and then put like a little reel together. Doesn't need to be fantastic, doesn't need to be whatever, but just have fun playing around and creating stuff that isn't all fitness, and just see how you enjoy it. And then that's you showing a little bit of you without it being like this huge pressure thing.
Yeah, that's great advice. And that's what I was going to ask about. That I was going to ask, like, is there room for flexibility in a content plan? Which obviously there is then.
Yeah, so with mine, we have said the post that is say like personal brand storytelling is whatever you want that week. So it might be that week you've gone to a gig. It might be that week you've gone for like the first date night with your husband without your baby. Like if you're about, do you know what I mean? It could be whatever, but something that's fun. Maybe you have just watched like a sick film. Maybe you literally just jump on and you've watched like that new, what's it, Happy Gilmore 2, and you're like, what the fuck is it? You just want to like talk about it, could be whatever, but so there is flexibility in that. But like I said, so the structure I'm not flexible with, because I
Yeah.
feel like that, from working with quite a few coaches now, I've seen that that works to help you get conversations started, whatever. But within that, of course, yes, talk about different topics and different things.
Do you think that's one of the mistakes that content creators make is that they don't have that kind of content plan in place that like they are just like deciding to wake up, what am I going to post today, or kind of just winging it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think, well, actually, no. Hang on, let me think. I'm going to say, I don't think that's a bad thing, but yeah, I do think it's a bad thing, only because I think people think that a plan is like restrictive,
Yeah.
but I actually think a plan can help you be more creative.
Yeah.
And it's the same with like time management when you're like, oh, I used to be like this. I used to like pride myself and being like, oh, I'm go lucky. I do whatever I want. I'm just like whatever time comes, but would always be rushed with no time and
Yeah.
stressed. And
Yeah.
the second that I actually gave myself a bit of a plan, I was like, oh my God, I'm like not as anxious as I thought I was.
Yeah,
Like this
100%. I say this to clients all the time in terms of like routine gives you flexibility.
100, yeah,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. So I do think having that plan in place, and I do think it's a hard one as well because um I do think right, as an online coach, you do become a content creator. Like you can't, what do you call it, argue that. You
Yeah.
have to put content. If you want to work online, you of course have to be online. It's
Yeah.
stupid. And if you genuinely do hate it and you're one of them people that are like, I just hate content, I know it's harsh, but I would rethink what you're doing because
Mm.
you can't have both.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? But with that, a content like you're that isn't your first job. Your first job is an online coach, a coach helping people and using social media and your content creation for your marketing, which helps you get more clients. So I think rather than chasing, I think maybe people are taking advice from viral content creators or people that want to like have brand deals and collaborations, which is all amazing, but that's a completely different industry to an online coach trying to get business for their coaching.
Mhm.
So actually having that plan in place where you have like, you know what you're talking to for your ideal client, but then of course, if you do find that you also love content, you have those couple of posts a week where you can experiment and do for you, that's sound, but you're making sure you're ticking those boxes that move the business forward. But I think a lot of people miss that because they're suddenly like, I need to get loads of followers and be like really online famous. And it's like, yeah, you can do it, but you need, what do you want? Because they're two separate industries.
Yeah. I would say even probably the influencers who want brand deals, I would imagine they even have content plans. Like I would imagine they're like very rigid that I'm gonna post this day, this day, this day, this day, this day.
Yeah. And they were,
Like
that's their job. So
yeah,
they'll have,
yeah, like they have to show up like they literally have to show up every day.
yeah.
Who is it that's the like huge YouTube like that has the most subscribers in the world? Mr. Something, my fucking
Beast.
nephew. Who?
Is it Beast? The
Yeah,
Beast.
Mr. Beast. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah,
Beast.
yeah.
Yeah, my nephew and niece always watch him on YouTube all the time. But like, I remember I think he was talking on a podcast about the like the level of like depth that they go into to make a video and the amount of money and stuff like that that they put behind that is quite literally insane. But like, obviously, that's why like he is where he is. It's just like an obsession.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the questions that I wanted to ask about was like, okay, obviously not Mr. Beast level of investment, but do you think like if you're going to, create better content, if you're going to take this serious, like, do you need to make sure that you invest in what you're doing? And I mean that in terms of like, should you go for a camera? Should you go for an iPhone? Should you pay for lighting? Should you invest in a good mic? Should you get a drone? Like, what? Give us all the kind of investment advice that you have for people starting off.
So I think a good phone, if you have got a good phone, like a good iPhone, like the 16 or something, or with a good camera, you don't need a camera.
Mhm.
However, I do think sometimes it depends how person you are. If having a camera means that you get in that mode to make content and it helps you be consistent with it, you of course can have a camera, but it's not a necessity. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
yeah,
DJIs are great. I know everyone has them. If you want one, it is like they're great. But if you're like, oh, 600 quid for the creative combo and I haven't got, you don't need it. But again, it's just personal what you think.
hmm
I do think you should invest in a mic. I think mic's really important. I think sound quality is really important.
Do you have a gold standard that you could recommend for creators?
Because I have when I film content, I have my actual camera where I have well, what brand is, I have my proper mics,
Are,
which I wouldn't probably recommend if you're just making for Instagram because they were very expensive and
mhm.
I don't think it's necessary. But the DJI mics that you can actually just buy their mics and then link it to your phone
Hmm.
are really good. But that so I've used that.
Hmm.
I have heard of others, but I haven't used them to know how good
Yeah.
they are. But I don't think you need to get gold like hundreds of pounds or whatever on a mic, but I would spend a bit more than like the bottom level ones
Yeah.
because you want it to be nice. And then I do think natural lighting, I always think is the best. That's my favorite. Even when I film clients, I very rarely will use a ring light or anything because I like to do daytime filming. However, if you have a ring light fit in your house or like something that clips onto your phone, standard, I think lighting does really help as well.
Yeah.
But sound, lighting, and then just the quality, as long as you just wipe your camera down and
Yeah, that's a good tip that people would not think. I had to say this to I have a client, and she went over to she went on a cruise for her 40th with her husband and her kids, and she was taking all these like pictures of Napoli and stuff like that, and I was like ringing her. I was like, if you're gonna go on a cruise and you're gonna get all these pictures of your family, go fucking wipe your camera because the dirt of it. The pictures were awful. No
it does
offense.
make such a difference. It makes such a difference. So yeah, I think all of that, I think they're the main things, obviously. So yeah, mic, sound,
Hmm.
the lighting, and then obviously your camera like quality. But again, there's so many settings, like your phone will do a decent amount. Again, though, it is like the actual message in the content that is
Yeah.
the most important. And then those little things. I would actually say, sorry if I'm jumping ahead, you
No,
might
no.
ask this, but more important than that is I would actually spend a bit of time getting better at your editing skills.
Mm.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to be a crazy weird, like crazy and do loads of pop-ups or anything like that, but just get used to the basics. Something that I've gone through with people recently, like clients and stuff that are now like sort of doing their own editing and just there's just a few little things like I say it all the time, and sometimes, especially someone like you and me that edit more often, I think we sometimes forget what is normal to us.
100%.
Someone hasn't used CapCut or used they don't know, but getting rid of the dead spaces
Yeah.
between you speak, so there's no ums and ahs, like is again can literally transform a video. I had one client send me her video and I was like, right, I'm going to do two things on this. I'm going to get rid of all your dead space in between, and I'm just going to speed the video up just 1.1 on CapCut, yeah, just slightly little quicker, and the whole pace of the video completely changed. And she was like, how did you do that? I was like, literally like this, just those two things. And I said, and that was another thing. She didn't have captions on it. It was a voiceover, but she hadn't got captions. I was like, so just those two things and now add captions.
Yeah.
And straight away the video is like, oh, because you're like, what's happening? Like, is speedy, is that kind of thing. So spending a bit of time on, I use CapCut. I know there's edits. I've used edits a bit, but I just am a bit married to CapCut because I've got
Yeah.
so used to it. But whatever you use, spending a bit of time just learning a few things about that, just to visually make the video more
Mm.
interesting, would probably be of more benefit.
Yeah, and I think as well, especially if you're new to content creation or you're new to getting your face on camera and you are like quite, stuttering a little bit and stuff like that, like it also builds a little bit of confidence that, or even if I stutter or even if I'm slow in what I'm saying, I'm just going to cut the dead space. And then on top of that, then I wanted to actually ask you about that, like raw unedited videos, people having a tangent in their car, unedited versus heavily edited videos. What's your opinion on that? Do you think both work? Do you think that one works better than the other? Do you think it's changing? What's your opinion?
I love them both,
Yeah.
and I think they both should be included to help you build your brand and your
Mhm.
presence online. So I think so again, so I'll have some of my clients, I have different things I do with clients, but say my clients that I have that I do their filming and editing for. So I will film them and we'll do like maybe one to two what I call high effort videos, yeah.
Mhm.
Where there is pop-ups, the color on the screen is to them and their brand. I have purposely used fonts that reflect them, like memes are added in that are more to them, like that kind of stuff, which is brilliant. And I do think, like, again, I don't think you need loads of them. Maybe what, just one a week or one to two is great. But I still say to them, some of them do it, some of them don't, but I still encourage them. You really should just film yourself on your phone completely natural now and then as well, and get some videos out of you just talking your feelings, because
Yeah.
we don't want to see all polished videos.
Mm.
I feel like the best, like, I think I've referenced her in every single podcast that I've done because I'm so obsessed with her. I just love her. But Maya, you know Maya.
Yeah.
She to me has just got it that perfectly. And I'm always wary when I say that because I don't want everyone then to be like, oh my God, I need to be like Maya.
Yeah,
No, the
yeah, yeah.
reason she's so good is because she is the most self-assured person I've met. And she's only 25. And I'm like, I'm 35 and I want to be her when I grow up. I don't
Yeah.
know how she's just so comfortable in herself that she'll do such a mix that some days it's just her in her car. So it'll just be her in her car, the basic font. She's just talking something, something's happened. She'll just be her talking. But then she'll do a couple of videos a week where she's clearly thought about it and it's about a topic that her clients would care about. And within that is edited memes that are so her, like, and what her people like her vibe, her tribe would get. Do you know what I mean? Like her ideal client and everything like that. And she has that in and she has text and she has pop-ups, but it's just such a nice mix. And I think
Mm.
you need that mix across your client.
Do you think, like you said, talking on your stories will obviously help with making you comfortable to like record just,
Yeah.
raw, unedited videos?
And I also think sometimes set yourself a task. The task I've set clients before, and I did this for myself, and this came from Lewis, my husband. So we were literally in the car, and I was like, oh, I need to edit this thing. And you know how if you give yourself time to do it, it goes on for ages. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I've got enough footage for this. I need to whatever. It was just something for me. And he was like, right, you got 15 minutes. 15 minutes till we get home. Go. And I was like, right, go. So I literally created a reel out of what I had. And then from that, then came this thing where I do like to do it once a week where I'll be like, I'll just take my phone and be like, I'm going to do a voiceover. I'm just going to create it in 15 minutes using whatever's already in my camera roll. And it will just be a task that I do. Or it might be like, I'm just going to film myself and post it in 15 minutes. You can't like film yourself and then be like, I'm just going to edit it in 15 minutes. And what is.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not going to overthink it
yeah.
and practice getting it out. Because I think too many people sit on it as well. And they'll or like, I had one client, she had 3 videos. One still hasn't been posted actually. So this has reminded me to follow up with her and be like, get it out. She'd had 3 videos that she'd edited that she then held off on posting. She wasn't sure about posting it. And I was like, I challenge you. I think you need to just post that video, like just post the reel up. And she was like, oh, I don't know. I think I'll watch it one more time and see. And I said to her, I was like, look, if you watch that one more time, do you think that one more time is going to make you go, oh, yeah, actually, it's a brilliant video? Or do you think you're going to watch it one more time and be like, all those insecurities that are already there that are telling you that you said that word wrong and then your accent went funny there and then the angle was that's all going to come in. So I said to her, my suggestion to her was give it to your boyfriend because he's not going to let you post anything that's silly. He's not critical like you, how you are. Let him post it. Do you know what I mean? Because I think we're sitting on, you just have to
Mm.
fucking post it. And yeah, you might be embarrassed, but that's how you get better.
Yeah, true. And it's like at the start as well, I used to hate listening to my own voice when I'd be editing a video that I'm about to post. Where now I it doesn't bother me at all. I think that just comes from the repetition of doing it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you're used to hearing it. Everyone's voice, because you don't hear. Also, have you noticed how in our heads we sound so different to what we do when we actually record? And if up until now you've been a PT, like, or basically up until now you've done a job that's nothing to do with online, and you've never had to record yourself. You're not in TV, you're not dancing, you're not in film, not whatever. All you've ever heard is your voice in your own head. Like you're not used to that. So of course, when you hear it, it's going to be weird, and you're going to be like, "Why do I say?" So it's just getting used to knowing, like, no, that's my voice. That's okay. That's how
That's
I sound. That's my
That
accent.
that's all the uhs and uhs that I do, and and I sounded a lot more intelligent in my head than I do when I look back and listen to myself. Another thing I wanted to ask you: so, do you think you need to show your face to build a social media presence and business? Like, I know you talked about carousels there and stuff like that. What about kind of written content?
I do think you have to show your face. I think there will always be someone that so you obviously don't have to. There'll always be a way to do it without, but I do think I personally wouldn't buy a, I wouldn't buy a service if we're talking services from someone without seeing their face.
Mm,
I can't build that trust. If it's a product, it's a bit different. You don't need to have the founder's face on there, but then you do need to have obviously proof that that product does what it says it does. So I would always encourage that, having your face out there. I think that's the best way for you to build trust and actually get your personality and your brand out there. However, if you're someone that loves writing, I think written content is brilliant and it serves a purpose. So I would 100% include it, but also don't feel like you need to do it if it's not for
yeah.
you. I do think email is the best way to do that.
Hmm.
I don't really think Instagram is the best way to get written. content out of there. Yes, you can do 20 carousel slides now. And I do think like if you're passionate about something, there will be those people that stay to the end that also care
Yeah.
about what you're talking about. But I think there are better platforms to do
Yeah.
longer form written content on.
If it's longer form, like it's just nothing of long form really does that well on Instagram and Facebook and shorts and stuff like that, doesn't it not? But I think even I've noticed that them carousels of just putting a picture of yourself up and just a small bit of text, and that being like maybe 8, 9, 10 slides. Some of them do really well, some of them obviously not. But I thought there was like a bit of a comeback with them as well.
Yeah, carousels are performing really well.
Yeah.
And I have like, so in my head, how I do it is I have like, I see it as there's three different types of carousels.
Okay.
So in my head, I have like storytelling carousels, and they to me do lean to more towards. So say if I was to give a client in a plan a storytelling carousel, obviously I tell them this before so they know what that means, but it will be like raw, normal pictures of you throughout the time in the background, as many different pictures as possible, just to show different sides of you. No Canva, none of that. Just write, even in Instagram, just super simple, raw, authentic, what you're feeling about this story, this thing that happened to you in your life. They perform like they serve a great purpose for connection and people can learn more about you. I then also like carousels that are more like educational. And with them, I think I do more of I know I do more of these. I do love Canva. So it's a way of like having yourself in Canva, but you're using more like the Canva text. You might have a few writing in there, some pop-ups. I love how carousels now have almost become like you can do mini videos on each slide. So you're showing a bit of personality, a bit of fun, but you're teaching like that kind of thing in there. And then you then have like what I'd call like your carousels that are like graphics. So there's no face on there. It's just text, it's just writing, which again would what it depends on you and your brand, right? There's people that would fit perfectly for maybe like a supplement brand or something, explaining something in the science, or a coach that is a lot more into the nitty gritties of training or whatever that might. So but say if you're a coach that just works with regular people that just want to know, that want to be more entertained, that might not work as well. So there's kind of the three carousels I think of in my head, and then depending on the topic that you want to write about, they can kind of fall into one of them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the infographics are definitely like more like evidence based, and kind of science nerds will be following them. I follow some of them, and then
Yeah.
I can picture them in my head, the different types now as well. What else did I want to ask? The last one was should beginners focus on any long form content, or just stick strictly to reels and shorts, and getting better at that craft?
I So I don't think there's any right or wrong with this.
Mm,
I think as someone that loves creating, like, because if we're just a regular person, doesn't
yeah,
matter what you do as a whatever. I think I love YouTube. So I watch YouTube how I watch TV. Like the
yes,
only TV I watch are literally like my comfort shows that have been the same for 20 years.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Buffy.
Everything. Yeah. Yes. Buffy, Charmed, Gilmore Girls. That's
Yeah,
like the only things in there. So I love YouTube. And I think it's you can definitely show a lot more of yourself on YouTube. I think you can practice editing long form is completely different, I think, to editing like reels and stuff for Instagram. Um, I think for building a community long term, YouTube. I don't have a YouTube, but just from what I'm like learning and I'm seeing, like if you want to build like people that people that watch you on your YouTube are your absolute
yeah.
fucking ride or
That
dies.
as you were saying that, I was thinking, yeah, that makes sense, because all I do is watch YouTube, and the people that I follow on YouTube, like I'm so invested in them.
I can't. This might just be me, but it can't just be me. There is a girl that I follow on YouTube. I found her on YouTube. I follow her on Instagram, but I don't really care about her Instagram, her YouTube. Her name's Mel. She lives in Florida. She's a martial artist, yeah, and I'm obsessed with her to the point where just in her, I have bought greens powders, yeah, but the brand that she uses, just because they're in the video, she's not promoting it. They're just
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know. And when I've gone to buy, because I do use greens powders, I'm like, oh, Mel had that bloom in her. I'll try that.
Yeah,
Because I just does that make sense?
yeah, it
If
makes
she,
perfect
when
sense.
she does actually tell me she uses a product, I'm like, maybe I could try that because I do really trust her.
Mm.
I do think those people on your YouTube. are there, like they're
Yeah.
with you.
And
So I
you also have to think like if you're watching them on YouTube, you're like compared to when you're scrolling on Instagram, like that's the difference between you watching someone for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes versus 30 seconds.
yeah.
Uh,
Some of the vlogs I've watched can be like 40 minutes.
yeah.
When Mel drops a 40-minute vlog on a Sunday, how?
Notification comes
Yes,
up.
I'm subscribed. I'm like, oh, that's just like my switch off time.
Mm,
And I'm like, she's got me. Like, and there will be more people. So I do think if you're, I don't know what it is you're selling, what you're doing, but if you're actually thinking of building a brand or building a community, which with whatever it is you're going to sell, you need community behind it to sell whatever that is in the long run anyway. And you love creating YouTube. If you're someone that's like, don't really have got the patience for it, don't push yourself into it if you don't want to. You don't need to do it. But I don't think there is this, you have to be on this, you have to be on that, you have to, I feel like you need to kind of in the beginning just do what you would enjoy more.
yeah. All the best answers are it depends, and they're also the most boring answers.
No,
You want to just yeah,
no.
do this, do this, do this.
The only thing I will say, and I'm not on it, so I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I'm not. I think I've got an account somewhere, but I've just never got into it. And then I just think I feel too old now and set in my ways. I can't get used to the app. But a lot of the people, again, I don't follow loads of content creators, but like that Julia Bloom, who I do really rate, and a couple of others, I do think there is something about being on more than one platform.
Yeah.
So maybe not one. I see it. So I have Instagram and then I do now have my email list. So I kind of see that as my two things. If I lost my Instagram, I've got my email list built in and I can connect with people like that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe if you're not on YouTube, maybe Instagram and TikTok is a good thing to have. But what I will say as well, which I'm learning now more about, which is so interesting, but all these apps work differently. So there was a time when everyone was like, "Yeah, I made a reel and I posted it to Facebook and to TikTok."
Yeah.
You can't, it needs to be separate.
Mm,
And when you asked about like the high effort and like the lower effort, it actually is like the algorithm on Instagram does prefer it doesn't not like the low effort, but it does prefer the higher edited content.
yes.
TikTok just loves the natural FaceTime low effort.
That's what I've noticed. I like it was obviously just my own personal experience. I was wondering is that true? But I've definitely noticed anytime I scroll on TikTok, it's like raw, unedited, someone having a chat in their car, and Instagram was sometimes that, but not that as much.
Yeah, I feel like TikTok has become what was Snapchat.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
TikTok feels more like Snapchat. So like just like if you have got a slightly unhinged thought, you could like develop it a little bit more on TikTok,
Yeah, yeah,
like open it a bit more. So I feel like it depends again that but then that depends on your personality. Maybe you're not that kind of person. So YouTube and Instagram would be better for you because you want to
yeah.
curate stuff in a vlog style and then you want your more polished. It all depends on I feel like I'd probably be better on TikTok because I could just be unhinged, but I don't know.
Okay, so one more question I have for you then. For someone who might be, all right, they're listening to all this information, they're trying everything, they're just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks, and like, they're motivated to make this work, but right now it's just not working for them. They're getting frustrated. Do you have any advice for them?
I think, hang on, wait, a coach or just
I think a content creator in general, someone who wants to make better content so it gets pushed out there a little bit more engagement, more, the things that they want to achieve.
yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a coach.
So I would say then the first thing, which is super boring, but take like half a day or whatever and just sit down and write down why you're actually doing it and what your goals are for it. Because I think like with anything, I know I deepen everything, but it does come down to that. So with no outside distraction, not thinking anything, why are you actually doing this and what do you want to achieve from it?
Mm,
Then I would get clear on maybe 3 to 4 content themes. Yeah. So maybe you're someone that loves fashion and you also love just do fashion, you love beauty, and you love I don't know, a niche kind of film or whatever. Yeah. Pick like 3 or 4 content themes and do yourself a rough plan that each week you're going to do one piece of content for each of those themes. And then have a little, once you've got your themes, so you've got your 4 themes, you know why you're doing it, you've got your 4 different themes that you want to do. Take time once a week to have a brainstorm what are you going to do for those types of content? Plan it out. Is it going to be a talking to camera? Is it going to be a vlog? Is it going to be a carousel? Whatever. And plan it and create it and put it out there.
Mm.
But do that, I'm not joking, for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, like do that and try and get in the phone. Take the pressure off. You don't have to post every single day. You don't. Yeah. Yes, you need to be present, but you can be present on your stories more. And actually, if you got into enjoyment of it and were posting just 3, 4 times a week, but that love was coming back to it, you're going to show up better anyway, and you're going to enjoy it. Like, the only
Mm.
thing that's going to kill it is if you stop enjoying it, you're not going to post anything.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like if you're doing it just if you're not enjoying it at all, or not enjoying the creative process of it, it's you're probably not going to last long enough to see the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
that's a big thing as well. I know myself when when I did care about growing the account, it was like, and I was posting every single day, and like there was times where you could kind of notice that there was changes happening, there was more engagement, there was more people. Even if the account wasn't growing, there was more and more engagement on videos, and it kind of gave me the little bit of feedback that, oh, I'm actually getting better at this, or more people are engaging in it. But like that was like 5 years of posting consistently, and like I think most people forget the metric of, like, you're looking at the metric of like, am I getting more engagement, or am I getting more likes, am I getting more comments, am I getting more followers, but no one kind of really focusing on the engagement, or am I getting better at the skill of making the video, or am I getting better at the skill of editing the video quicker, or am I getting better at the skill of being more confident on the camera, which like all I had to do then, even when like I was still like at like 4,000 and I hadn't grown, I was still able to look at like that video compared to the video 4 years ago and see such a change in how I was presenting myself on camera, actually using a mic, actually using lighting, actually investing in a good phone, and like the difference between that video and that video. So I kind of it's kind of like a client who is with you, and like, oh, they feel like they haven't seen any movement on the scales or anything like that, but then they look at a photo of themselves because they've been resistance training for the last 3 years, and like, oh my god, my body shape is completely different. And
Yeah.
again, it probably goes back to, all right, are we, if you wanna stay consistent doing what you're doing without getting frustrated, like, can you look at other metrics other than, have I grown my following account this week?
Yeah. And also, I think it's so important that you say that though, Carl, because I think so many people as well, I very rare, so often when someone says, or I hear someone saying that they're frustrated, that things aren't going how they want to go, like, do you know what I mean? It's just not, nothing works for me, or that kind of thing. When you look at their account, they're not posting
Yeah,
consistently. I know I've just said you don't have to post every day. You don't have to post every day. But if your goal is to grow,
yeah,
like, does that make sense? You should be posting more often. But these people aren't posting every day. And then if you look at how many posts they've actually got, it'll be like 200 or whatever. And they're comparing themselves to someone with hundreds of thousands of followers, but with also 4 or 5 thousand posts.
yeah,
And I'm like, I think it's this idea. I actually always say this, and I've said this to Lewis before, because I think people have this idea that going viral is easy because all they see is the one viral
yeah,
video.
yeah,
I don't know anyone, no one who has gone viral that didn't work fucking hard to go viral.
yeah,
Yeah? But I also think there's this weird thing. I don't know if you've come up against it or if you've noticed it. I have so much respect for you because you always talk about how you posted so much before and stuff. But
mm,
there are also these people that have gone viral that then kind of forget what they did to get
yeah,
viral
yeah,
and kind of don't talk about that part
yeah,
anymore. And I'll
yeah,
be like, I know you were in group chats posting 3 times a day, analyzing all your videos.
yeah,
Like, does that make sense? Like, that's not an embarrassing thing. You worked really hard to go, but by not acknowledging that and talking about that after you've got these big followings, is making people feel like it's easier than what it fucking is. And then when they've posted consistently every day for maybe 2 months and they've grown like 50 followers, they're downhearted about it. I'm like, no, actually, if they're people that really align with you, like, yeah, you're gonna be doing this. Like, Carl did this for fucking 5 years.
yeah, yeah,
Like, but people don't see that, and I
yeah.
think that's really important to know as well.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
also
what,
when I did, on the back of that, when I did go viral, I was actually following a content plan at that time. Like, I was like, my god, the content plan actually creating structure works. And then I stopped doing that because I didn't want to do it anymore. But like, and then I didn't grow anymore from that. Shock, do you know what I mean? So like, yeah, I think obviously, I don't think anyone, because nobody wants to talk about that. It's actually a lot of it's a lot of work to be a content creator, but it is.
It is a lot of work, and it also is even more work to try and go viral.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I'm so happy that's not something that I want to do, because I find it hard enough. Like I have, so I have clients. So to be honest, sorry, 80% of my time is coming up with ideas, creating, filming, editing other people's content, and I have like a smaller percent of time for my own.
Yeah.
Um, so it is a bit like that is a little bit different, but like it just, if you're doing it just for yours, like it takes so much effort and
Yeah.
so much time. And yeah, I just don't think people speak about it enough. And I think, and that's why I don't, there is this idea still, which is weird, of like, oh, it's just content creation. Like it's not just content
No.
creation. It is fucking hard work, and you should be proud of yourself if you're doing it. And you
Yeah.
should cut yourself a bit of slack, because it is a real job.
Yeah.
Like
Just
I
ask,
think,
just ask Mr. Beast, who's one of the richest men in the world.
yeah, but I think we're the first generation that it
Yeah.
is a job. Does that make sense? So it is.
Yeah.
We've probably still got. I know I have, like my parents' voices in my head, like it's not a real job, or you're hearing this, and then you have people being like, "Oh, they're just on Instagram." Like we know it is an actual serious job where you can make a living off of it, and people do make good livings off it, and there's no ceiling to it, and it
Yeah.
can allow you to have a coaching business or whatever, and it's free marketing
Yeah.
essentially. Do you know what I
My
mean?
my friends still give me stick for being like, oh yeah, get a real job. Like, and they can give me stick because like we're good friends, so it's like I can accept that. But it's like it's funny because like they'd be solicitors or work in insurance, and they're like, get off your phone and get a real job and all. But like in a jokey way, not in a real like cruel malicious way. But I think you're right. It's like people still have that perception that it's not actually a job. Well, I suppose that's obviously far less now as everyone kind of realizes the insane growth that you can make, or how you can change your life by just literally posting the content that you feel embarrassed about.
Embarrassed by, yeah.
Yeah, so it is though, isn't it? I think like it's like, yeah, you could feel like a little bit embarrassed about putting up a video of you talking about a certain topic, or you could put it up and it could be like the thing that changes your life and gets you paid online and opens all these opportunities for you to do whatever you want to do, whether that's move to a different country or get your own house or get your own car, or
Yeah.
and I think when you weigh it up that way, it's like, okay, like is the cost of feeling a little bit cringe or whatever versus me getting to open all these doors. Like when you weigh it up like that, you're like, all right, I'll just post a fucking video.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
One more question for you. So mistakes are clearly part of the process, as we've obviously spoken about. So what are some mistakes you've made that you're glad that you made to get you to get you into the position that you're in now?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. What, just in life or in content?
I think both. Well, I think probably your life decisions have probably led you up to this point where that you're in,
Yeah.
you are where you are. Like
Um,
I presume that like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you didn't think you'd be in the job that you're in.
no, no idea. Not
No.
even 5 years ago. Not even 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Literally, I've been doing this now only not even coming up maybe for a year and a half. And like the first 9 months was kind of in secret, like
Hmm.
filming other people's content while still coaching and keeping it. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Oh, I feel like that's such a good question, and I'm not going to have a good enough answer for it because I'm trying to think on the spot. The first thing that comes to mind is like practical things that I've really fucked up on is I've gone to shoots before and forgot my memory card. Lewis had to drive to Liverpool from Manchester to give me a memory card because I'd gone without a memory card.
Mm.
I hadn't synced up my mics because that's another thing. I had this um Simon lent me his camera, which is like a Lumix, a proper camera. I'm not a videographer. Does that make sense? So I had
Yeah.
this huge camera that I was then trying to navigate. So mistakes I made was like not knowing things like that. And I think actually, do you know, actually, now you said it, do you know, I think the biggest mistake I made, which I'm pleased I made now, because I'm kind of at the other end, is I was because I started doing this later.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's probably like, I feel like I've had so many different careers at this point because I was
Yeah.
dancing and coaching and doing everything. I almost was embarrassed about that. And I kept that quite like, I don't know, I felt like people wouldn't take me
Mm.
seriously if I just got into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I needed to have more experience behind me. But actually, from being more open and like, oh my God, I'm learning this too, or I'm
Mm.
like even that kind of thing has actually made me so much better.
Yeah, that makes
Massive. Does
perfect
that
sense.
make
And
sense?
also, it's like you talked about, it's like you bring people along the journey with you when you're doing this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that gets people engaged in what you're doing and what you're learning,
Yeah.
and learning off you as a byproduct of you experiencing it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of one more mistake that just comes to my mind as well, is I remember being told once not to give like don't give too much out for free. This
Mm,
wasn't in this job. This was like in coaching and different things. Don't give out too much or too much stuff for free. Like people won't take you seriously or they won't want to work with you or anything like that. And I made the mistake of believing that. Well,
mm.
with this job, like since I've set up this business, I've given everything. Like I've sent people will message me and ask me how to edit, and I'll send them screen recordings of exactly how to do it in CapCut of what I'm doing. Or like I have a planner. If anyone wants a planner, I have a planner that is completely free that I give out my planner with a video. Like
Yeah,
I'm
and you
very,
showed me how to vlog, do my daily vlog properly as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
So I will actually now give, and I personally have found no downside with that, because also
Mm,
I know that like one to one, if someone wants to work for me, I'll give them even more. But me telling you how to edit a video is only going to make your video better now, and I'm not, why would I gatekeep that? I feel like people gatekeep a lot, and you need to stop that. Just help
mm. Why
help.
do you think that would benefit your business by giving out things for free? Just for the people listening who might think that they need to gatekeep a little bit.
Well, I think it builds trust. Like and
Mm,
also I feel like I feel like it builds trust, it builds that relationship. And if you're going to give stuff like that away for free, just imagine what you're going to give away that's
yeah,
paid.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, and also people, I really do think this as well. I don't think they're not, I don't know if you've found this. You could give out the best training in the world for free, and there might be one person out of 30 people that actually watch that training and implement it and
yeah.
help them. And that is so amazing. But they probably as well still want more from you afterwards. But also the other people probably won't watch it or do anything with it, but they'll remember that you gave it to them,
Mm, yeah,
and that that's your nature,
yeah.
and you don't hold back. Or does that make sense?
And also, it's such a huge compliment as well. If someone's asking you for advice on something, they obviously deem you as an expert in that topic. So, like, it's just more feedback that you're doing all the right things.
Yeah, and I just think it helps. It just helps. I also think I'm a lot more passionate actually about this than what I was potentially about coaching and other stuff. So it kind of comes more naturally that I get excited when someone asks me like, "What would you do for this?" I'm like this morning when this person was like, "Can I do a day in the life?" And I was like, "No, no, do it like this." And I had like three
Mm,
different ideas. I was like, "Go, come along with this," or what, and then I'll get excited and be like, "And do this with your carousel." Like I get more into that, which then
mm,
probably now thinking about it, like subconscious, unconsciously, or whatever, helps build the community
yeah, yeah.
without really me trying, because I'm just naturally back and forth with people.
Would you have been creative when you were younger as well? Do you think that's like naturally a part of uh your personality, and that's why this kind of is
Yeah.
such a kind of easy fit for you?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I was. I love it. And I think that's like, how I said to you at the beginning, like I've been thinking a lot about why I do this. Because obviously I didn't, well, I did, like with everything in life, I kind of fell into it. Simon's a good friend. I did his course. I was doing Lewis's content. I loved it. I liked it. I fell into it, that kind of thing. But now I think it's more about, and you might have noticed this even in my content, because I'm speaking about it a lot more. I've just got to this age where I'm like, I just want people to feel more comfortable being themselves. And I
Hmm.
just want them to play more. Like I did used to make plays when I was a kid and film fake TV shows and films, and I loved it. And I feel like you get as an adult and then you stop doing this creative stuff. And it's like, it's just this way to be yourself and express yourself and be comfortable with yourself. And I really do think if everyone was more comfortable with themselves and showing up as themselves online, their true self, like they'd be so much happier. They'd find it so much more fun, more fulfilling. And then as a byproduct, your business will do better because you are better, because you're feeling better because of what you're doing. So I feel like I still love making great videos and I love all that stuff. But now I do feel like my mission's kind of changed a little bit, where I'm like, I'm meeting all of these, obviously coaches, because the world I'm meeting a lot of coaches, but I'm meeting so many fun, brilliant coaches, Carl, that I'm like, you are so incredible. Why are you not putting this online? And it always comes down to the fact that there's some sort of mistrust in themselves, or they're a bit self-conscious, they're holding back. And I'm like, I want to help you bring that, because I know that's going to help you have more fun and do everything. So I do feel like it's only literally been this sort of last month I'm noticing this shift where I'm like, yeah, it's content, but it's not just content. It's a way that we can express ourselves and have fun, and life's too short and we can just be ourselves. So I feel like if in a way I can kind of help people make videos that feel more like them, like I don't know, that makes me feel good. Do you know what I mean?
Marie, this has been unbelievable, really, really helpful. Come here, if people wanted to follow up with the work you do, if they wanted to ask you any questions, if they wanted to get some advice, where can they find you?
So it's at content with Maria underscore underscore because content with Maria was taken, which is so annoying. Underscore underscore. So yeah, literally, I just message me on there. On Instagram is where I am. I'm always on Instagram. So if anyone has any questions, if they do want the planner, message me. I'll send them that, whatever. But yeah, any questions.
And can they work with you online, or are you just are you doing only in person shoots, or how does it work?
No, you can work with me online. So I do have a do-it-yourself course,
Hmm.
content clarity formula, where I literally go through everything that I've sort of similar to everything we've touched on today, but how to build out your own planner, how to get more comfortable in front of the camera, figure out who you are, your own personal brand. So there's that. I then do have a one-to-one, which is I work with you basically for about 3 months, well, 3 months time, and we work on your personal brand. I set you tasks with your content to help you get more confident on camera, help you with your editing. So you do all the filming yourself. I help you with the ideas. And then if you are in the Northeast, I then do a filming and editing package if you are in this area.
Okay, amazing, Maria. A pleasure as always. Thank you for today.